Russian President Vladimir will visit Hungary to meet U.S. counterpart Donald Trump in the coming weeks to discuss ending the nearly 4-year war in Ukraine. The high-level meeting was agreed after the positive phone call between the two leaders on October 16. The Russian leader's visit to Budapest, Hungary, marks his first trip to Europe in years, especially since his full-fledged invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Putin has been barred from visiting Europe due to an arrest warrant from the International Criminal Court for his war crimes, including the abduction of children from Ukraine during the conflict triggered by Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. The court based in Hague depends on other nations to detain suspects of war crimes. However, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who is Vladimir Putin's closest ally in the European Union and opposes Western countries' military support for Kiev, has said preparations were underway to host the summit. Viktor Orban revealed after his phone call with Donald Trump on Thursday that preparations were being made to host the high-level Trump-Putin meeting, while describing the summit as great news for the peace-loving people of the world. The Hungarian PM described Budapest, essentially the only place in Europe where such a meeting can be held, because of Hungary's consistent stance for peace. Orban assured that Putin would be safe traveling to Hungary. Hungary's Foreign Minister Péter Szijjarto on Friday reiterated Orban's remarks that Budapest will ensure Putin can enter the country for a summit with U.S. President Donald Trump. Viktor Orban has long been the target criticism of Western allies due to his close ties with Putin, especially after he attended the Victory Day parade hosted in Moscow in May. However, Budapest's warm welcome for Putin also stems from the country's policy to withdraw from the ICC. Hungary has announced its intention to withdraw from the International Court by mid-2026. Earlier this year, the country hosted Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who is also wanted by the ICC for alleged crimes against humanity related to the war in Gaza. It should be noted that the Trump-Putin meeting will follow a round of meeting between U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian counterparts next week, Trump said earlier. Putin has voiced readiness to meet Trump in Budapest, with Russian presidential aide Yuri Ushakov stating that, "Our president immediately supported the idea of holding a possible summit in this European capital." Trump's call with Putin came ahead of his White House meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskiy. Washington's possible supply of Tomahawks long-range missiles are expected to be high on the agenda of the meeting. With the range of over 2,000 kilometers, Tomahawks missiles can put capital Moscow within the range of Ukrainian air forces, raising concerns within Russia. Trump on Sunday floated the idea that he would consider sending Tomahawks to Kiev if the ongoing war does not stop. Moscow has described the supply of Tomahawks as an escalation of the conflict. Policy analysts told the Associated Press on Friday that a meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and U.S. President Donald Trump organized by Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban is aimed to show the European Union's irrelevance. Peter Kreko, the director of Political Capital, a think tank, said that by offering to host Trump and Putin in Budapest, Orban positions himself against the European Union. Donald Trump, Viktor Orban, and Vladimir Putin have one very important thing in common, is that they are all hostile to multilateralism, said Kreko. They have some kind of antipathy towards the European Union. And I think the mere fact that this event will take place, most probably against the will of most of the EU allies, also wants to demonstrate the irrelevance of the European Union, he added. Orban celebrated Friday his country's status as the host of upcoming talks between Trump and Putin, a meeting where the two leaders are expected to discuss an end to the war in Ukraine. Sergei Gerasimchuk, deputy director of Ukrainian PRISM, a think tank, told the Associated Press that Orban brokered the meeting to come across as a peacemaker to Hungarian voters. He can finally prove that he has achieved something, if not peace in Ukraine, then at least a visit of the world leaders to Budapest, said Gerasimchuk, wary that the meeting will fail to produce conclusive results. The meeting in Budapest comes after Trump failed to secure an agreement to end the war in Ukraine during an August meeting with Putin in Alaska. A trip to Budapest for Putin would require him flying through the airspace of several NATO member countries, a potential complicating factor in organizing the meeting. While Putin's assets have been frozen by the EU, he is not subject to a travel ban in Europe. Russian planes are banned from entering the bloc, but member countries are permitted to allow certain flights in.
The very fact that this meeting takes place in Hungary, a country where the popularity of Donald Trump is rather high, and a country where the popularity of Vladimir Putin is not tragically low, I think it's rather just a confirmation of Viktor Orban's political position. He positions himself against the European Union, but in favor of the US line in foreign policy. Donald Trump, Viktor Orban and Vladimir Putin have one very important thing in common, is that they are all hostile to multilateralism. They are all hostile for different reasons and in different aspects and extent towards international institutions. They have some kind of antipathy towards the European Union. And I think this the mere fact that this event will take place, most probably against the will of most of the EU allies, also wants to demonstrate the irrelevance of the European Union. One very important message that this whole meeting has is that classical multilateralism simply doesn't matter anymore. The EU is irrelevant, NATO to a certain extent is irrelevant, ICC is irrelevant. What matters is that when strong men are sitting around the table and deciding over the fate of the world, and that's, I think, to a certain extent, the harsh reality.
For Viktor Orban, it's another success story because we followed his travels around the world to Beijing, to Moscow, to the United States with his peacemaking mission, which brought no results at all. I mean, everybody knows he was in Beijing. What's the outcome? Nothing. Everybody knows he was in Moscow. What's the outcome? Nothing. Now there is a chance for an outcome. And bearing in mind that Viktor Orban keeps his peacemaking image high on the agenda of the upcoming elections, that can be a success story. He can finally prove that he has achieved something, if not peace in Ukraine, then at least visit of the world leaders to Budapest.